They got somebody there. She's just pretty short. She's almost behind the podium. So I don't have to introduce myself. It wasn't a joke. I was just saying he couldn't see her because the way she was standing.
It's true. It's true. I embrace my shortness. So we are now joined by Matt Kenseth, driver of the number $20 General Toyota, the defending Daytona 500 winner. Different team this year, but talk a little bit about coming into this week.
Yeah, I mean, so far Speed Weeks has been good. I wish it would have finished better Saturday, but we had a really fast car. Thought we learned a lot during the shootout. I was happy with our qualifying efforts. So just looking forward to getting on the track today and getting a feel for what we have for tomorrow. And then of course looking forward to the races tomorrow. Learn what we can for Sunday. Hopefully have a good result tomorrow, and come out of there in one piece and feel good about what we need to do for Sunday. That's kind of the goal for tomorrow.
All right, we'll go ahead and open up for questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start here with Kenny, and then we'll go to Randy, and then we'll come back to you.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Matt, has it been any different as far as the amount of actual drafting time that you guys have got on the track this year? Does it seem any different? Does it seem like you got more or less, about the same?
Well, I think the schedules have been about the same, to give us an opportunity to draft. For me, I've got less, but most of that was self-induced. So when we were down here testing, we were still doing single-car runs when they wiped out the field and there was nobody left to draft. And then, of course, on whatever day it was, I guess it would have been Friday, right? I caused that wreck and 8 minutes in, so that's all the laps I got in, so I didn't get to draft anymore because they were busy fixing my car. So for me, it's been less, but like I said, that was mostly self-induced. I think the schedule's about the same as it's been in years past. Well, I think after today it certainly will be. I think there's 3 hours today, maybe practice, something like that. I think that's more than enough, honestly. Unless something is a lot different today than what it was on Saturday because of weather conditions or something like that. I don't think you'll see 45 cars out there for 3 hours. I think everybody will get a pretty good feel for what they got. Make sure their car handles, and probably get them ready to race tomorrow.
Hey, Matt, a multi-part question. As a two-time winner of this race, what does a Daytona 500 victory mean to a driver, mean to his career? Would you trade it for 5 other wins in a season? And can you talk about the week after and just the whole media barrage that you go on?
Well, I wouldn't trade, any win for anything. I mean, it's all kind of part of life's experiences. I don't think, even though some are good and some are bad, I don't think you'd ever trade them. That's just part of who you are and how you got here, or whatever. But winning the Daytona 500, certainly for a kid that grows up, dreaming about stock car racing, is the greatest achievement as far as a single event win I think you can have as a stock car racer. So, I can't ever say it was a goal to win one because I never dreamed I would compete in one. But certainly once you're racing in them, that's a goal and a big accomplishment for the teams I was driving for and the crew chiefs and everybody that had a part in that. So it was great to win those. Doesn't mean anything for today or Sunday or going forward really, but it was great to win those. The week after is always both times it was busy, but it was really, really fun. They were both really different for a lot of different reasons, but they're a lot of fun. It's fun to go around and kind of celebrate the win, and then get to Phoenix, kind of kick off the rest of the season.
What do you remember about that week? I mean, who'd you meet at Letterman, or who'd you meet at?
Well, they were both they were both a lot different. Last year was different for a lot of reasons. We didn't race until early Tuesday morning, so the week was abbreviated and we went different places. But there was a lot of neat things. The first time it was cool to go on Letterman. I've always wanted to sit on the couch or the chair or whatever it is and be on there. My dad, when I grew up as a little kid, my dad always watched Letterman all the time, and so I've watched him for a lot of years. So that was pretty cool being on there. That was probably one of the highlights going to New York. Katie got to go with me the first trip, so that was fun.
All right, Lewis.
Louis Frank, Auto Week. Have you noticed when they say your name and identify you real fast, sounds like your car cost less, number $20 General Toyota? But seriously, did you have a chance to watch the? I was looking for.
You've had too much time away from the track.
I was at Sebring yesterday. Sunburn.
You were
anyway,
okay.
Seriously, I was wondering if you watched the tapes after the shootout, and it seemed that being in front on the next to last lap in the past here, maybe before the COT, was not the place you wanted to be. But Kevin was able to hold off Tony and Logano and Stewart. I was wondering, have you had a chance to see the difference? Is that due to the Gen 6 car, and any predictions about how that'll play out on Sunday?
Well, I think there's a lot to be seen yet. Saturday, pretty early, half the field got wiped out, and the smaller the pack is, the tougher it is generally to make a move or make a pass. In restricted plate racing, the more cars are out there, the bigger hole there is in the air. There's a lot more opportunities and chances, I think, to make a move and make a pass, that type of thing. So I don't know if we've seen exactly Saturday. I don't know if we're going to see that exact race tomorrow. And tomorrow's race, I don't think you're going to see that exact race Sunday. I think it'll keep changing, but I'd rather be in front, but I would have rather been in front last year too. The way it all turned out. So I thought we had a great car. I made my move. I didn't watch the tape yet, but I knew I made my move too early. But yet, with only 12 cars still running or whatever it was, and it seemed like only half of them had real fast cars, I just had one shot to make that move. And that race is all about winning. If you don't win, I mean, yeah, you'd rather finish second and third and so on, but it's not really that big a deal. So I kind of had one shot there, and I thought if we got out front, that it would be really hard for them guys to beat me, and took that, and unfortunately didn't quite clear Kevin, and then just couldn't get enough cars in that other lane. So I think the race will keep changing. I think you'll be able to pass. I think it's going to be interesting. These cars are a little different. They draft different than what we had last year. And I think it'll be interesting probably tomorrow, I guess maybe more so today, when you get the pack out there and run a straight 150 miles with the sun out and all that stuff, and see if handling comes into play, because it could. It didn't really on Saturday night, but it could, tomorrow and Sunday. Yep.
All right, we're going to go Vega, Viv, and Newton, and then we'll take our next round. Go ahead.
Hey, Matt, Mike Vega, Boston Globe. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about your transition into this new team, and some of your teammates looking at you as the grizzled veteran, I guess. The grizzled. The grizzled. And just having to assume that role on the team, I mean, was it an easy thing for you to do, or do you feel like you have equal partnership with the other teammates? And second part of it is, how do you assess your chances, given what you saw from your team and your car in the time that you've been out in the track, practice and in the Unlimited?
Well, first, I mean, I didn't really assume that role. I mean, people have talked about that, but I didn't. When I came in there, nobody ever said, "Hey, you need to come in here and be the leader" or whatever. So now, certainly, I'm looking forward to working more with Kyle and Denny. Them guys are both obviously really good, win a ton of races. I think I'll be able to learn a lot from them. Hopefully, I can do my part and I can contribute as well, and help make all three teams stronger. I mean, that's always the goal, is to work with your teammates and get the organization as strong as you can get it. And if you can't win on a particular day, hopefully one of your teammates does. So as far as our chances, I don't know. I feel really good about our equipment. I was really happy with my car on Saturday night, even though we didn't win. I felt like we had one of the strongest cars out there, at least one of the 3 or 4 guys that I felt like could make some moves and make some things happen, especially early before we got lined up on the top. So I felt good about all that. Everything went pretty smooth. Went a lot better in practice on Friday. They were able to fix that car. It was still really fast. It was nice to get a race under our belt with Jason and with that team. That was our first time in real competition. So I think there was a handful of things at least that we learned out of that. There's probably some things we wanted to work on, some things I thought we did really good. Just nice to get an event under our belt.
All right, can we get Viv right here, and then we'll go to Newton.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. 2 very different questions. First of all, in baseball, if there's a rain delay, they probably have to change pitchers because the shoulder gets cold and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, in a rain delay, is there any change for drivers, and the fact that they're trying to dry tracks quicker, is there any benefit at all to you guys to get back racing quicker? And the other question is, do drivers think Danica has a weight advantage?
For what?
Just being lighter in the car.
Oh, for racing? Oh. I don't know. I've never asked what she weighs, and I know there's a different weight that goes in cars, so I don't know. I don't think it really matters that much. But what was the first question? Oh yeah, rain delays. You threw me off. I don't think the rain delays really matter really that much, honestly, for the drivers. I mean, we're like everybody else. You're sitting there and you want to get going. I think that working on the jet dryer thing is something that I certainly didn't see coming, but I think it's really smart, by NASCAR to do that, because obviously the longer they're not doing anything, the more fans are probably going to change the channel or walk out to their car and drive home and do that kind of thing. So, the quicker you can get back to action, I think the better it is for everybody.
But physically, there's no advantage.
Not really. I mean, everybody has something different. I mean, there's not a lot you can do. Last year we were stuck on the backstretch, and Brad was the only one who could tweet. The rest of us just sat there and kind of told stories. And I went and talked to Greg at the time about some strategy and stuff we wanted to do on a restart, things like that. But really just sit and wait like everybody else.
Good.
David Newton, ESPN.com. Matt, it appeared nobody would go with you the other night when you really wanted to go a few times, and you had a really fast car. And even when you got out, it seemed like the other cars were having trouble staying with you because you had a fast car. Do you think that'll change when you get to the 500?
Yeah, I do. I think it'll probably even change tomorrow. I think the group is so small, for one thing, and it's harder to make a move when the group is that small, and you needed at least 3, maybe 4 cars to make it happen. And even though it don't sound quite right, I almost needed somebody, like when Joey pulled in front of me on the last lap. I think if we would have had another lap to do that, and I could have got 1 car behind me, we could have got up and at least mixed things up in the front, to challenge for it. But the pack was just so small, and everybody was on the top. And I mean, if you were running third, for instance, and you tried to make a move by yourself and nobody went, you were going to pull back in line 12th or however many cars were on the track. So it was just the way it turned out. I didn't see that coming, where everybody's going to line up on the top and not be able to get going like that. But like I said, I think it'll change when you get more cars out there. I think if the wreck wouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have been like that either. I think there would have been more, more passing. Oh, it's top secret, Dave. I can't tell you that. No, I don't know. I mean, the cars I ran around, it seemed like the 14. Of course, he's in front of all the plate races. He's really good at it, but he seemed to be fairly strong. Kevin's car was pretty strong. There was a couple others out there looked pretty good. Greg was pretty good. Okay. That's post wreck. I don't know because I didn't get to run with many of the other guys at wreck. There was probably a lot of good cars that got tore up.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Mike.
I'm not going to ask you about your weight, but I am going to ask you about Danica.
I'm going on a diet starting right now.
You don't need to lose any more weight, brother.
It sounds like I do. I get down to 100.
You're looking svelte. Talking with people, it sounds like one of the biggest challenges Danica faces here especially is getting guys to trust her in terms of working with her and drafting with her. Why wouldn't you draft with her?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I totally buy into that statement. I found through the years, people want to draft with A, cars that are fast, and B, people that are going to make the right moves that help you get to the front. Because if you're drafting with somebody and they make all the right moves and go to the front, and you're right behind them, you're going to be toward the front as well. Now, if you draft with somebody, if they have a fast car and they just keep making the wrong move and getting in the wrong line and you keep going backwards, you're going to probably find somebody else to follow or to kind of draft with. So I think those are the main things. I think people that at least typically, not always, but people that show strength throughout speed weeks and run good and make some good moves and can keep their car up front even if they don't necessarily finish there. I think that people in the race tend to work with them more because their car is faster, so it makes your car faster as well. And because if they're doing the right thing and getting toward the front, you can latch onto that and be part of that, you're going to be in the front as well.
When you say show strength, what types of things do you want to see out of her in, say, practice and in the duel that might give you some more trust and make you want to go with her? Well,
I didn't say I didn't trust her. So I mean, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, I usually since they changed rules last year, I haven't made a plan. I go out there and kind of see how it goes and go from there. You kind of take those things in. You're out there and you see which lane is moving or you see where somebody is going, and also there's certain times there's people you want to draft with because they're maybe they're a teammate or a friend or driving the same manufacturer or whatever. But for some reason your two cars don't work together and you try. And you're like, man, we're not going anywhere. I gotta get around him and go try something else. So a lot of it is you kind of learn as you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Shannon? Right here to Shannon.
Shannon Spake, ESPN. Just wondering, you look at some drivers and they have success on restrictor plate tracks, and you look at others and they just can't catch a break. I mean, whether it just be, something going wrong, they're not necessarily bad at this type of racing, but you just can't control your own destiny. I'm just wondering, your thoughts on how you have success on this type of track when really anything can go wrong or right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. Well, after last year, I've been fortunate to be on both sides of that, but I think you enjoy it when it goes really well because it seems like it goes the other way more often than it goes really well. So there's a lot of things that happen that are totally out of your control. Get caught up in an accident. You can be all the way in the front and get caught up in an accident. You just don't know. So I think everybody has a different strategy. Everybody has a different idea. That's why you see some people right in the back. You see some people trying to lead. I kind of got tired of all that. Before the start of last year or the end of the year before, whatever it was. So I just decided to go race and, go race as hard as you can the whole race. Hopefully you can be in the front, and hopefully if there's a wreck, you're not in it.
All right, we're going to go Jeff Gluck, Bob Hawkers, the two gentlemen in the back, and then we'll come up here to end with Dave and
Am I the
Al.
first one of the day or something? I don't think I've ever had this many questions to
Sorry.
answer ever.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I kind of like it.
Jeff Gluck, USA Today. I'm kind of trying to figure out, if nobody wants to risk wrecking their 500 car, and there's a lot of people that are kind of locked in the race already, even though it's not as many as last year, why don't people just start and park the duels? What's the point of risking to run the whole way?
Well, I can only answer for myself and my line of thinking. Now, I think that you go out and practice today, and with us already having a race under our belt on Saturday, if the car drives like my car did on Saturday, and we seem to have speed, we make the moves we want, and Jason's happy with everything, and he doesn't have anything to look at, I could see not practicing a lot today. But I think for me, in the duels, that's your first, I know you had to shoot out Saturday night, but sometimes that's your first, test in real race conditions. So to me, the duel's the most important part of the week. You go out there, and I always like to go out there and race hard, try to make some moves, try to run with some people, maybe gain their trust if you got a fast car, that type of stuff. Kind of set up a lot of different things for Sunday. So, that's better than any test you can do. It's a great test for your car, for handling, for where you can put your car, where you can't. Test for your pit crew, most likely green flag pit stop. Never really know. So I always use that as the best test session you can ever have. I think I like to be in race situations the whole time there. I mean, if something happens, it happens, and try to be as prepared as you can for the 500.
Bob? Right there.
Bob Hawker, Sporting News. Back to the weight question. I mean, does it matter? I mean, do lighter drivers have? I mean, even if it's within the 40 pounds where you have to add weight, if you can choose where to add weight, I mean, does it make any difference?
Well, yeah, I guess I should have read the weight rules before I came. I didn't expect any of this to come up. This hasn't came up for a long time. Yes, I mean, to build a race car to go around the track, I mean, the old saying on oval track racing is always light, low, and left. I mean, you want to build a car as light as you can, whatever, there's always a weight rule. So whatever weight you do put in there, you want to get as low as you can to get your center of gravity as low as you can. So, I mean, if you're lighter, even if you got to add weight, and you can add weight where you want it in the car, and you're shorter and you're sitting low in the car, yeah, all that stuff helps, of course. I mean, but it's always been like that, I mean, before there was any, they try to, NASCAR made that rule, I don't know how many years ago, to try to equalize that a little bit, and take lead out for a heavier driver, and, put some lead in for a lighter driver to try to make it more equal for everybody. So I don't know that this conversation's come up in a long time, and I don't even know what the weight difference is, to be honest with you, what the segments are. I don't know if it's from 150 to 180 or whatever it is. So I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, if she keeps running that fast, I think she should have to add a bunch of weight and mount it to the roof.
All right. Right back here to the back. And then, yep.
Thank you. Jorge Keklin, Fox Deportes. We're going to be doing this in Spanish for the first time ever in the U.S.
Answers?
A car race. So I just want to...
You're going to get in trouble if we're doing this in Spanish.
Exactly. So I just want to, suggest you record the race, and you can hear in Spanish and go and send it to be translated to see what we're saying about you.
All right.
With this, talking about weight, following with that, if you don't know how much the weight is, the difference of the cars, which is 150 pounds less than last year, and they have changed the weights on the side, where do you feel the biggest change in the car in relation to the setup, with tires or the rear camber that is much more now that you can adjust? Where do you feel the difference, the biggest difference in the car, in the setup, and how you feel it in the behavior?
Yeah, I mean, I knew there was a weight difference in the car. When I was somewhat, I should have studied on the weight rules. I don't know what, if you're where the cutoff is, how light you can be before there's not a cutoff anymore, and you got to add weight, or how heavy you got to be before the cutoff is before you can take weight off. I don't know what that range is anymore, but I know the cars are lighter overall, obviously. So that's a little bit of a hard question to answer for Daytona. I think until we get to probably almost the off weekend when we get to some different tracks, Phoenix and California and Vegas, Bristol, I think we'll have a better idea, what setup changes we've had to do because of not only the differences in the body with the aero, but certainly the cars being lighter and the rear camber and all those different things, taking the yaw away from the cars. So all those things are going to affect the cars. I'm not really sure how yet from a setup perspective, how different that'll be from what we raced last year. That's really hard for me to say until we get into the season a little bit. Hey, whenever you can make it, Nate. Don't worry, Jeff took some notes for you.
Matt, what is the ingredient possibly that you try to recapture every year when you come back to this track that you've had success with?
Well, the first thing is you want to have a fast car. I think, like I was saying, the rules package, everything's been a little different here the last couple of years. But last year everything just really not only went our way, but we just had really dominant cars, and we were able to keep them in the front all the time, and fortunately be able to stay out of the trouble. And that's easier said than done sometimes. So I think you try to get a car that's fast, which you don't always have very much control over, and then just try to get something that's comfortable for the draft, and just try to, hopefully get with some cars that your car works well with, and hopefully make the right moves and be in position at the end, at least have a chance.
All right, we're going to go with Dave and end with Al. Go ahead, Dave.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Took you a while.
Yeah, it did. Two totally, completely off in different directions questions. The first is typically when we talk about favorites, the guys to watch. I know for many years you said it's Jimmy's championship until somebody takes it away from him. He's been beat now a couple of times. Do you look at that championship race, the target, the guys you expect to be, well, do you look at that any different now that he's been beat a couple times? And the second is, from what you know about Jimmy and Carl, how do you think they're going to kind of work together and blend together and get to know each other?
Man, it's pretty early to be talking championships. A lot of stuff has changed this year, so I still feel like, even though Jimmy hasn't won the last couple of years, I mean, last year he was the one to beat. If you're going to win it, you had to beat him, and Brad was able to beat him and Clint it then. But I don't know. I guess when I said that every year, I said until he's beat, I think he's the guy to beat. So, I mean, me to sit here right now without even racing a race and having a whole different car and rules and all that stuff, it's hard for me to say who's going to be the favorite. I think that's early to tell. As far as Carl and Jimmy Fenning, I mean, I don't know. I think I got to ask them guys after they run a few weeks. I mean, I always loved working with Jimmy. We had a great relationship, knew each other for a lot of years. It kind of had the same outlook, I think, and style somewhat, I guess, for how we liked going racing. I'm not sure how their styles will match, but I think Jimmy's one of the best in the garage, and I think Carl is too. So I would imagine they would work well together.
All right. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, Matt, Al Pearson, Motor Week. I understand that a 4/10 mile track in 70 miles an hour is a lot different than a 2.5 mile track in 190. But after what happened over here Monday and Tuesday night, are you guys more convinced than ever that anything goes on the last lap, you can do whatever you want to do and probably not get penalized for it?
Well, I have a confession to make. I didn't watch any of that racing. I was wore out last night before. We did Disney all day on Monday, and we did Legoland all day yesterday. That is hard work. I was looking forward to getting back to the garage and getting in the car. So I didn't see any of the racing last night. I heard, or the night before, I heard a little bit about somebody wrecking somebody on the last lap or something. So Yeah. They'll probably all get wrecked back in the last lap someday too. It's usually the way it works. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to make much of a comment on it because I didn't see any of it. But NASCAR in general has not policed that. If you want to move somebody out of the way in the last lap or spin somebody out in the last lap, that's kind of always been your prerogative. But you also have to be ready for that back when it's your turn. So typically, that's how NASCAR racing has always been. Now, certainly, short track racing where I grew up was much, much different than that. You know, if you couldn't do that, you got put to the back as well. So every racing series, I think, handles a little different. I think when you get to this level, most people seem to handle that themselves pretty good.